Hey everyone, and welcome to The Point. My name's Chris, and this is Matt, and we are pastors at Journey Church in Huntersville, North Carolina. And here at The Point, we're all about talking about how we humbly point everyone to absolute hope. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Doing so good.
Yeah.
So good. And so we wanted to mix these sessions up to where we're going to have some practical posts like you saw last week with the first episode that dropped.
It was a great episode, by the way.
Thanks, man.
Good job,
That's
man.
so sweet.
That was awesome. Yeah.
So we want to mix up some practical stuff like that, but also have sessions like this that are focused on QnA, because a big part of the church we're a part of in Journey Church is asking questions. You know, they're not just welcome, but they're kind of expected. Like we should be processing why
and
we
don't get nearly enough questions.
No, yes.
Like we really don't. We keep pushing and pushing, but you know.
Yeah, and you can submit your questions below at the text and email that just showed up.
Yep.
Or you see in the description below. And it doesn't have to just be about questions we're talking about. If there's anything that popped up in your life or conversation with your friends, it's a great way to help us drive the conversation forward.
I would say this. You don't know what everybody else is also questioning.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, the worst part is that when people feel like I'm the only one thinking this, I'm the only one questioning this, and it takes someone asking the question and an environment like this or at our church or whatever that we can say, your questions are welcome.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to dive into those questions. Even if we don't know the answer, we want to walk down the path of discovering that with you.
Yeah.
So that's the reason we think it's important.
We hope these sessions are not just a time for you to get. We're not trying to be end-all, be-all answers. Like we're only so experienced and so smart.
Yeah.
There's only so much knowledge and insight we can provide. We just want this to be a place where we can kind of process questions openly and just make it a normal part of our faith.
Yep.
So you want to dive in?
Sure.
Awesome. All right, so we had our first couple questions come in. The first one, and I really like this one. So, I mean, the honest fact is that our kids are still our kids.
Yep.
Okay, so we're talking about kids for this, like our children. And while we hope the best for them, and we do our best as parents to kind of help guide them and grow them and put them in the best opportunity, they're still kids. They're still going to mess up. Okay, so when kids have opportunities for growth, let's just say, how do we discipline our kids? Okay, this is about disciplining our children.
Okay.
How do we discipline our kids in a way that doesn't just focus on the correct behavior, but actually leans into like that idea of building characters? How do we discipline our kids without only focusing on, getting them to do what we want them to do and actually help them build their character at the same time?
Yeah.
Softball out of the gate.
Oh, so yeah, that's. I would say, gosh, I'm trying to think of people. My brain immediately goes to books, resources that I think do this well. But anyone that talks about discipline, you want to kind of, if you're reading anything about discipline or you're reading a blog or whatever the case is, you want to drill through and drill past the initial behavior modification, because that's always what happens first. It's the, like you said, it's the I don't want them interrupting me anymore.
Right.
Well, we both have your
have young
oldest
children.
and my youngest are the same age.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're going through that stage right now where there's so many words and they interrupt all the time. So it's like, I don't want them interrupting me all the time. Like, how do I, well, if you just discipline them, okay, think about the idea of discipline in terms of behavior modification. I just want them to stop doing this. So we yell at them, we chastise them, we time out, we some people still spank, some people do all these things, because all you're trying to do is fix it where they do not interrupt you. Okay, versus what I think discipline, if you read scripture, discipline's always correction, right? So how are you correcting behavior if it's just a stop? So it should always be, and this is most of the time, it's a stop, current course, change to a new course, right? You do this really well with your kids. Like, stop this, do this instead. And so if you're working, it's still behavior modification, but it's done with a way in which you say, we tried it with our youngest. You don't interrupt this way. If you really need our attention, you interrupt this way, right? So, we tried the hand on the arm. That was from my sister and brother-in-law.
Yeah.
They did that with all their kids, I mean, that did not work that well for my youngest. So anyway, but I think that's where you got to go. Okay, you got to get to the point where your discipline is actually correction. You don't want it to be, and I think I thought of this the other day. somebody said, and it was a while back, and I can't give you the full quote and who said it, but it was this idea of thinking about Jesus as a baby and as a toddler and as a child, because he was human, right? He was human, and the idea that he didn't, spill his drink, or the idea that he didn't
annoy his
parents, or the idea that he didn't, when he was apprenticing with his dad in the carpentry shop, that he didn't miss a cut or do something wrong.
Yeah.
The idea that Jesus was sinless didn't have anything to do with whether he made mistakes.
Right.
And I think the problem is, for most of us, when we discipline our kids, we are not thinking in the moment, was this a mistake? Is this something that truly needs to be disciplined or corrected?
Yeah.
Or is this just something that needs to be addressed because they made a mistake?
Yeah.
And I think I struggled with that. I have two older ones. I have one that's almost 18, one that's 15. And early on, when you're a beginning parent, sometimes it gets muddy. Like all of them seem to be muddy.
Right.
So how do you say they made a mistake and you're just like tearing into them like it was a act of defiance? It was a willful act of, they hate you. Yeah. You got to fix this. Spank the demon out of them. That's an old fundamentalist.
I'm with you, dude.
Right? That to me is one of those you just like, dude, you really got to think through correction. Yeah. Number one, if it's just a mistake, then you go, hey, we made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, you were running with the cup, and we told you not to.
And you spilled it everywhere.
And you spilled it on mom's couch.
God bless you.
Right? This is not something to beat the child over.
Yeah.
This is something that you say, why don't we run with the cup? We need to be more careful, and so you're correcting. So I think, just going back to the root of the question, I would focus, no matter what resource you're looking into, because it's failing me right now. I know we have some resources on our website if you want to go to the website for discipline, but we always tend to focus on, is it truly correction? Because that's what we want. We want to correct behavior, so that we're really building character.
Yeah.
Right. We're correcting behavior only so that we can build character, not so that we can look better to others. And a lot of behavior modification is just because of how bad it makes us look.
Let me get your thoughts on this.
Okay.
Especially, so you do have older kids, so you've kind of seen this play out.
Yep.
My kids are all younger right now, 6'4", and we got a baby on the way.
Yeah, baby.
God bless
baby
us.
Denning. Woo!
But it seems like a big part of the correction process is repetition.
Yes.
Right, and consistency.
Yeah.
And I personally find that to be one of the harder things to do.
Yeah.
Because what my instinct is, and this is because I'm a talker, like I'm just, my daughter came straight from me. I mean, what am I gonna do? But like I have this desire to like walk them through not like a lecture necessarily, but like helping my 6-year-old.
Your 6-year-old over-explain everything to your 6-year-old. Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's helpful to repeat stuff, but I think sometimes it's just like, Dad, what? Like, so how do we?
After 6 minutes, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how can we use that repetition in a way that doesn't become just white noise for the kids?
Yeah, I'm going to use an example for those of you who belong to a church or who are engaged in a church like ours. There are basic principles that are taught at our church, right? When they're preschooler, it's that Jesus is my friend. He loves me more than anyone, more than anything. Like there's basic principles taught, and then when they get older, those principles expand. Those principles expand and kind of get bigger, so you can have a deeper understanding. When they get to be a teenager, and they get to a teenager and a teenager, we want it to grow even more, so they have better understanding. So I would say, for me, if I caught my 6-year-old lying, it needs to be as simple as it can be. Sweetie, there was no reason for you. You got to tell me the truth. There's no reason for you to lie. And I think keeping it at the idea of like, there's no reason for you to lie to Dad. There's no reason, right? I mean, in your mind, you had to make a decision, but I want you to know that Dad loves you. There's no reason to lie to Dad. Yeah. And that's it. And I mean, honestly, like we can go down 1,000 explanations, but that repetition needs to be that. To my 15-year-old, I want to say, dude, lying's going to continue to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? Like, lying is not the answer. I know that in your mind, it's something quick. It's something easy. It's the easy path out. It's the whatever. To my almost 18-year-old, like, I'm to the point of saying, listen, you're going to wear every bit of the consequences if you don't tell the truth on this. If you behave in a way that goes against your integrity, you are going to wear the consequences on this. And I'm just telling you, as your dad, I hate that. So you think about the same thing, right? It's the same behavior or correction, but Charlie doesn't need consequences. What?
Yeah. Well, it's also done. It's also done in the context of relationship. It's
everything's done in the context.
It's not just why, Dad. Well, because I'm your dad, and shut up. Sometimes I feel like that's appropriate.
I definitely say that.
But
Dad's gonna win this argument
exactly
right now.
Yeah, but I feel like sometimes, over time, as they build trust,
yes,
my wife and I have talked a little bit about this already. Just thinking as our kids get older. I think the approach we're going to try, because again, we don't freaking know. There's no class. I mean, anyhow, the idea of okay, baby, talking to our girls, and now we're soon to be boy. Our default is we want to trust you.
Right.
We want to trust you, so don't give us reasons to not trust you.
Yep. Give you the benefit of the doubt.
And then if that trust is broken over time, we can come back and hopefully continue to build that trust with one another, Yep. But so it seems like the biggest takeaway for this is how to make sure we're not just making discipline all about corrective behavior is you want to have correction that leads to character building.
To character, yes.
Because you're building context around.
And the repetition needs to be age appropriate, what they can handle.
Yeah.
Because I agree. My 6-year-old doesn't need to hear the explanation that my 18-year-old gets.
There's a show, and what's funny is correction. I mean, there's definitely a lot of biblical basis for it. Just in, not just for children, but for the believers in general.
God corrects us because he loves us.
But what's interesting is you see morality.
Yes.
Okay. Built into lots of shows nowadays for kids.
Yep.
Like Daniel Tiger is a PBS show or whatever.
Yes.
And there's and they always sing it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to hurt someone. That's our.
You did really well with that. That's
right?
Awesome. Yeah.
But that's our go-to for when the girls get angry or something happen. It's just funny how that stuff sticks in your head, and I feel like speak to that for a quick second of okay, that's a truth. That's good. So how is it okay to use that kind of tool to help correct our children?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I definitely think so. Think about the idea that honestly, most of the stuff that works long term, has a biblical root somewhere. Almost all wisdom, even stuff that people carry today, there was Lincoln said that. Lincoln didn't say that,
right.
The psalmist said that.
Yeah.
The apostles, the prophets said that.
Yeah.
You go back to there's a root somewhere sometimes in absolute truth, which is, the fact that it's okay to be angry. Anger's an emotion.
Yeah.
But it's not okay to hurt someone. It's not okay to let that, kind of play itself out. So we look at scripture and be don't go to bed, was it angry. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. Deal with that issue. Don't sin in your anger, meaning don't respond in such a way that causes the anger to hurt someone else. Because again, if our goal is to love others as Christ loved us, love our neighbor as ourselves, we cannot justify our anger.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that as kids grow up, right, we're correcting behavior because all we see is the anger. But if we're not going back to correcting the actual, guys, it's okay to be angry. Dad gets angry. Mom gets angry. You've seen us get angry, but that anger that can be understandable, maybe even, you can even talk through why it made him angry.
Right.
I said no to this and it made you angry, and here's why I know it made you angry. You can't lash out at your sister.
No.
You can't do this. And that's when you start correcting them towards the character side of things. So, that's a good question.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Kind of on the same train. We're kind of on a parent train today. So, talking to parents, what are some good... I feel like this is an evergreen question. I feel like it comes up every couple months. What are some good basic rules for our kids and social media? So, maybe not necessarily hard and fast, this works for everybody, but some big guiding principles for how do we help our kids have a healthy relationship or a relationship at all. I don't know. Because we've got younger kids. We've already talked about we want to keep it away from as long as possible.
As long as possible. And I did the same thing. Even with my 2 older kids, there's still stuff they're not allowed to be on. There's still stuff they can be on. Gosh. All right. I'll give you what I heard a while back. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, and it just started to shape my view of this. My kids were in that teenager stage. Number one, from an integrity standpoint, do not lie so your children can get social media. I don't understand how this passes parents all day long. But if the social media platform says you have to be 13 years old to be on social media, I don't care if you go sign them up for a post because you want to have the cool name and the whatever. That's fine. but don't lie for them
Yeah.
in order to get them something that they are now going to consume and use. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good.
So if you did that, I'm sorry. But anyway, that's like, I'm going to say baseline, like don't lie for them, and don't encourage that. So the other one is the 3 things that I was really challenged with. From that I think it was a Gen Z book. It was, as parents, the 3 things were be informed, be engaged, and be in charge. Okay, be informed, be engaged, and be in charge. And what does this take? It takes effort, because for me to be informed requires me to go read the lyrics of songs, watch TV shows or movies before they do.
Sure.
Research. My son hates it. I research every game he has to purchase or wants to purchase.
And there's great resources for that.
And there's great, man. Focus on the Family has one. The Kids in Mind one. What's some of the other ones that are really good?
There's tons.
There's tons, and it does it for games and across the board. Bark is one that I use for social media. It's actually a thing that intercepts direct messages, because that tends to be that's a little bit more on the scary side, but it tends to intercept any language that would be a trigger on your kids' direct messages through social media.
So there's so they get a little bit of privacy,
correct,
in an appropriate context.
Exactly.
But I would assume at the same time you have access at any time.
I want to be informed. I want to have access to it, and that's what part of being engaged is. You know, I'm not a TikTok fan. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. So when my daughter first got it, I got a TikTok account and then liked my daughter's account. You know, saw my daughter's account. Well, my daughter doesn't post anything.
Right.
Ever. She uses it to watch content.
It's consuming,
It's consuming content. So it was useless for me, honestly, because I didn't have to worry about her putting stuff on. It was just like, you know.
Right.
So then I had to be aware. This is something I look up about once every 6 months, TikTok trends.
Sure.
And I will go see what the most popular dude I saw, the Tide Pods and what's the Milk Crate Challenge recently, and others, just dumb stuff. Yeah. But you go watch some of that, and some of it is where I want to be a little careful, and I want to be able to challenge my son about it and my daughter about it. And, hey guys, I'm not a fan of what I'm seeing right now. And they'll usually, Dad, it's not that big a deal. Well, I want to be engaged. That's the way it is.
And the idea isn't to restrict them to where, like, you're trying to figure out how to put this in like a simple, like, today's language of, like, you're not trying to make them like a Bible thumper filter to where, like, the only thing they can ever consume is like VeggieTales and like the Christian version of.
And I don't want them to Jesus juke everything, and be like, what's really scary? Hell.
Right.
That's the stuff we used to do as kids. It's like, I don't want that for there to be their testimony.
Right.
But it's like, dude, you can enjoy. I enjoy content. I watch kittens playing all the time on Facebook.
That's weird.
That's cool.
I'm
old. So I like that. I like, I get, what I get sucked in? I get sucked in the people that like do like machinery around the world. Like what's that thing we watched one day for 10 straight minutes about how they cut marble.
We did.
Remember that?
That's
we did
so
do
true.
that. That's what I'm saying.
That's so true.
You have your own thing. Everybody has their own thing.
Everybody got a weird thing.
All right.
That's so
your
true.
kids will too, right?
Yeah.
So be informed, be engaged, know what those things are. Be in charge. So this is the thing I tell parents all the time. Look, you're in charge of the hours of your kids until they're out of your house. Like, it's just the way it is. Stop making excuses. Stop thinking that my kid deserves privacy at 12 years old. They do not deserve any privacy at 12 years old. That grows with the responsibility of being an adult. So you're in charge of that social media presence. It's more important than ever that you take charge of that. And the biggest thing that we do is we set them down before social media and said, here's what's allowed, here's what's not allowed.
You set boundaries.
That we set boundaries so they could clearly understand. And the consequences for breaking it is you will lose that privilege. You will lose that right. We have Disney's Circle.
Oh,
at our house,
it's a great resource.
Right?
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's a great resource. You can look it up.
It's a tool that basically helps to filter anything that's coming in.
It filters automatically, and it sets time limits for us so we can tell our kids,
great.
Listen, we don't want you on Instagram.
All the kids watch this like, crap, why did you tell them about this?
So my kids have an hour on Instagram, right?
Sure.
So they use it wisely. Now, what do? They go to Target and get on their Wi-Fi.
That's great.
And go... Do I know this? I'm informed. I'm engaged.
Thomas is sitting here right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Thomas will never watch this. But he's sitting here like, oh, man.
So I already know they do that, which goes back to, well, that's also why we have the boundaries. Like, you're at our house. You don't need to be on it all day long. You don't need to let it consume you. You're going to be an adult soon enough, and you're going to make those choices for yourself, and it can consume consume you as long as it wants.
Yeah.
So be informed, be engaged, and be in charge. I honestly think if you think through those three things, you will find a path for you and your kids when it comes to social media that hopefully you can manage and work through.
Yeah, so, and it even connects back to the first question of all that's done in the context of relationship.
Yes.
Because as your kids grow and as your children grow up, like that relationship's going to change and grow over time, which is a good thing. It's just kind of part of it, and you build trust and hopefully build that relationship, which is in the context of which you have these conversations.
Yeah.
It's less a mandate and dictate, and like you're setting the boundaries, of course, but you're having a conversation about and helping them understand the why, so that we might build their character. So
that they understand that stuff is, what's that? What Rick Warren used to say, like, it's permanent, it's forever, it's like, so they understand that when they post stuff, it's...
Especially nowadays, they ain't going nowhere.
Gosh, man, their jobs are looking at them, like, thank God. Thank God.
Oh my god.
My high school and my older after high school years are not recorded. On, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but I'm just saying, thank God that people...
My hair was pretty bad. It was not good. It was. I had high hopes and high aspirations.
You
and
did.
It was not well executed.
What was the age of the bowl cut?
We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, because that's the great picture of your parents' house.
There's a couple. That was that was young, but.
Did you and Alex have matching hair?
Yeah, and denim shirts. That's pretty great. We can't even. I might flash a picture of that up for you. Right
so awesome.
Just to reward anybody who watches the video all the way through.
Yes, it's the best.
So okay, so we thought it'd be fun to close out these Q&As. With three things. First, we want to ask you to share, if this has been helpful to you, we want to ask you to share this video on your different social platforms. Maybe forward this email that you got this from over to your friends if you think it's going to be helpful for them. Two, we'd love for you to like and comment below about these things. And even more specifically, add your questions. You can comment your questions below. We'll add them to the hopper. Or, again, use the text or email to send me your questions. And third, we think it'd be great for you to comment below, kind of keeping the conversation going with us, because we're going to close with like a fun question.
Okay.
I love fun questions.
Okay.
It's like a party icebreaker kind of thing. And Matt doesn't know it's coming.
No.
So the question is, if you could pick one season, spring, summer, fall, winter, and you could only live in that season for the rest of your life, like you get nothing else but this, what season are you picking, and why is it not summer? I'm just kidding. Matt and I do not do summer.
We do not do summer.
We're not. I mean, like, you can tell by our delicious glow. I mean, he has the glow.
Okay.
You get one season for the rest of your life.
One season, and I'll tell you why. Spring.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I would choose fall, but I hate leaves. I hate the leaves falling. I love the leaf color, but I have to rake and blow leaves for 4 months.
You have a son.
Doesn't matter.
You have a daughter.
If you know my children, you know why I'm still raking and blowing leaves. So I'm just telling you, that's the problem. I would rather have fall, but if I could live in Arizona with no trees, well, they don't have fall there.
That is so Canadian of you.
It is really Canadian.
That is so Canadian of you.
So spring is similar, but not really. So I'll choose spring.
Okay, spring. I would definitely be fall.
Okay,
100%. I don't care about no leaves.
You don't care about
the leaves will die.
You've barely lived anywhere with a tree.
Okay, you're kind of
That is true.
You're kind of right. We've had some stuff like in our yard and stuff.
I have a million trees.
But I am so basic. Like I'll take a PSL all day long. I'll take a nice apple cider.
Dude,
you want to go pick some apples and watch the leaves change? Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
I want to sit on a porch for a week and watch the leaves go. I was just telling somebody about this from out of town this week about watching the leaves change and but mostly it's the temperature.
Dude, just watching you on a front porch with a pipe and just a
dog sitting at my feet
and a dog. At
I don't know where the dog
feet,
came from.
But
he's there.
The leaves change.
He's checking it out.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd love to hear what people.
So, what do you guys think? What would be your season if you could only pick one to live in? Comment below. We'd love to hear that. But we love you guys. We hope this was helpful, and we'll see you guys next time on The Point.